All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, last year, the National League East sent three teams to the postseason, and at the beginning of this season, that was expected to once again be a possibility. However, with about a third of this MLB season already in the books, it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. You look at the Atlanta Braves, and of course, they began this season by losing their first seven games, which severely put them behind the eight ball, as no team in MLB history has ever lost their first seven games of the season and gone on to make the playoffs. Now, it took the Braves some time, okay, but by the middle of May, they were finally above 500 for the first time this year. However, the Braves have stumbled back. I know that they won today. They beat the Boston Red Sox, but nonetheless, the Braves have it against them. They're back under 500. They've got a cascade of injuries that they've had to deal with. And of course, it just got a little bit worse, with rookie starting pitcher AJ Smith Shawver being set down for the rest of the season and probably a portion of 2026 as he's set to undergo Tommy John. Overall, even though the Braves won today, they've dropped seven of their last 10, which included them losing two out of three this week to the Philadelphia Phillies, as Atlanta now finds themselves in somewhat of a hole in the division. Now, recently the Braves got passed by the Washington Nationals for third place, and I know currently at the time I'm speaking, they're tied 8.5 back Philadelphia and New York, but nonetheless, um, the Nationals play tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks, so that could change, and of course, Atlanta could be right back in fourth place. But nonetheless, you look at it, Atlanta, they're 8.5 games behind both the Philadelphia Phillies and New York Mets, who are currently tied for first place in the division. And as the Mets and Phillies are going at it atop the NL East, these two playoff teams from last year, they really have a possibility or an opportunity right now to really put some distance between themselves and the Braves and leave Atlanta in the dust, even at this point in the season. So you've got the Mets and Phillies. Both are 36 and 22. Of course, they're tied for the top spot in the NL East. Also, they're tied for the best record in the National League, along with the Chicago Cubs, who are sitting atop the National League Central. And you could put the Los Angeles Dodgers right in that mix. The Dodgers, as we speak, are up 10-1 on the New York Yankees. And of course, if that score holds serve, then we're talking about New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and Chicago, arguably your four biggest media markets in the National League, all sitting atop with a record of 36 and 22, excuse me. So we saw the hot start by the Mets. The Phillies got it going. They passed them. They were up on the Mets by 1 point of 3 games. And now, of course, Philly has lost their last couple of games, the last three to be exact, including the first two of their current home series with the Milwaukee Brewers, while the Mets are starting to win again. But nonetheless, they're both tied atop the NL East. And I think it's going to be like this all season long. I think the Mets are going to have their moments when they get up on the Phillies by a couple of games, and then Philadelphia is going to have their moments when they're up on the Mets by a couple of games. And I think these two rivals are just going to go back and forth at it like this for the remainder of the season. And I know with the expanded postseason, the divisional race may not have the same luster, but I think it does because in this case, right here, I think between the almost said the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets, winning that division is going to be the difference between getting a first round bye and, of course, having to go at it through the wild card round. And of course, going at it through the wild card round is not the worst thing in the world. We've seen since this expanded postseason has come about, for the most part, it's been the teams from the wild card round who have made the deep runs into the postseason. We saw both the Phillies and Diamondbacks be the last seed, the sixth seed in the NL playoffs. They got National League pennants and got all the way to the World Series. And then, of course, the Mets got on that run before they fell short to the Dodgers last year in the LCS. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. But like I said before, I think they're going to be back and forth all season long. Philadelphia and New York, in my opinion, are two of the most talented teams in baseball. A lot of star power on both of these clubs. We saw the Phillies win this division last year, and of course, the Phillies met the Mets in the divisional round last year. First time in that these two longtime rivals faced off in the postseason. And of course, New York got the best of Philadelphia 3 games to 1. But you look at Philadelphia, they're right there in spite of the current recent injury to Bryce Harper. He should be back soon. And then, of course, the struggles and subsequent injury to Aaron Nola. And of course, not having Nola at the top of his game, you know, it's a setback for the Phillies starting rotation. But nonetheless, Nola is a veteran pitcher. And I think at some point, sooner rather than later, he's going to figure it out. The Mets are not without their issues. Of course, we saw New York spend big bucks over the winter on outfielder Juan Soto. He hasn't been playing like a all-star caliber player this year. Nonetheless, he did get a home run today against the Colorado Rockies. Maybe playing a bad team like the Rockies can allow Soto to get it going and really, be an asset for this Mets lineup. But nonetheless, even with all of that said, New York is still right there atop the National League. So when it's all said and done, I really do think this summer in the northeastern portion of the NL East is going to be very fun. And my thing is this, it's just a shame that, division rivals no longer play each other 19 times as it's only 13 times now. And of course, when that is the case, it puts more importance on those contests when they actually do meet. And on top of that, it's also going to come down to you taking care of your business against the teams that you're supposed to beat. We saw the Phillies recently go at it with the Colorado Rockies. They took care of their business. That's what the Mets are doing so far this weekend. If you're a top team, you've got to take care of your business against the also rans, and then of course, make the most of it when you meet those divisional foes in those key matchups. But nonetheless, I expect both the Mets and Phillies to be active at the trade deadline this summer, but they're also going to benefit from trade type scenarios when they get some players back that are currently on the injured list. And of course, they'll have them back before that. They should have them both back before that. But nonetheless, I truly believe that both Philadelphia and New York are going to be playoff teams at the end of the regular season. It's just a matter of who's going to win this division. But like I said before, they're going to be trading back and forth with the top spot in the division. So the Braves, they're 8.5 back. Atlanta currently has a record of 27-30, and one would say, are they going to get back into it? Maybe not the division race. Okay, it's still early. Okay, you still got more than 100 games left in the season, but I'm just looking at all of the injuries that Atlanta has to deal with, and of course, clearly with the extended postseason, Atlanta is not out of it. But nonetheless, they got to try to pick it up and they've got to try to get some bodies out there. I mean, it's not over. I mean, we saw the Mets at this point of the season. I think last year they were like 10 or 11 games under 500. And of course, we saw New York rally to get to the postseason, and the rest is history. So I'm not going to write off Atlanta. I'm not going to sit up there and say they're going to be spectators or spoilers. But at the end of the day, they've got to try to, get healthy, which is easier said than done. But like I said, historically, no team has ever started as bad as the Braves have and gotten to the postseason. Of course, things are different without the expanded postseason, but nonetheless, Atlanta still has their work cut out for them. But I think when it's all said and done, it's a New York and Philadelphia thing right now, whether it's the pizza, whether it's the cheesesteaks, whatever side of this rivalry that you sit on, it's going to come down to these two teams. And it really wouldn't surprise me to see these two division rivals meet once again in the postseason. I think if you're Major League Baseball, you're more than happy with that. It's all about the rivalries, to my opinion, that help to elevate sports. New York and Philadelphia, regardless of the sport, is a big deal, especially with these two divisional foes right here. And of course, when you think about New York and Philadelphia, of course, Philadelphia is a city of brotherly love, but nonetheless, there is really no love lost between the Big Apple and Philadelphia. But again, like I said before, I think it's going to come down to the Mets and Phillies in the East. It's going to be a battle. Two very fine baseball clubs. and let's see who's going to flex their muscles over the last 2/3 of this Major League Baseball season to get it done. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it is truly greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And just like it is on the X, you can check me out on Instagram as well at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. You give me that follow, and I will give you that follow right back. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.